Right. Okay. A lot's happened today in the old sport. Obviously, Man City out the Champions League. Guardiola, he's been charged by UEFA for improper conduct with an official. Guardiola lost his shit, didn't he? Liverpool have been charged for their fans' misbehaviour in the first leg and some other flares being set up at the ground. Now, the Champions League tonight, you've obviously Juventus are playing Real Madrid and Sevilla are playing Bayern Munich. They kicked off about 15 minutes ago. Of course, Michael Goulart, the cyclist who died at Paris-Roubaix, it's been revealed that he had a heart attack, and there are suspicions of doping behind it. Didn't particularly want to say that, but yeah. And Remy de Gregorio was tested positive for EPO. Very coincidental that within half an hour of it being announced that Michael Goulart has had his heart attack, or an hour or so, they announced that De Gregorio is failed a dope test. Really, really coincidental. I think there's no coincidence that is a deliberate thing by the cycling authorities. That's got to be deliberate. I can't fathom why they wouldn't, do that. That's making a point. That's making a statement. And I think cycling has got to change and clean up its act, because one guy dying at age 23 and another guy testing positive, and they're being released a few days after the other guy dies. That says to me that's a sport with problems. I did a video on NHL relocation today, so if you're a hockey fan, check that out. But yeah, a lot's been going on today, and we have a lot to talk about. So, hello. Yeah, we have a lot's happened today, and we have a lot to talk about. And whack your questions in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. I'll recap the videos I've done. I've done 2 cycling videos, a football video, NHL video, and a cricket video. And the cricket video was to do with what I view is the future of Test cricket, which is the day-night Test match, and my thoughts on the day-night Test match and where we go from here with that, because with what's happened with the Australian team, I think that's the way forward for Test cricket. The ball manufacturers have to work out where they go. So they stick with the pink ball with all its flaws, or do they use the white ball? How can you watch the game today? There are a couple of live streams, but I don't know where you are in the world. But for me, the game doesn't start till like 3 o'clock in the morning my time. I could not honestly tell you what live streams you could find. It will probably be on Premier Sports or Free Sports, but you've got to wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, I'm not staying up for the opening games tonight. I'll just catch the highlights tomorrow. I'll do my reaction to the games tomorrow, because I've got to get some sleep. The timings are really weird. They're really late. They're all done East Coast time. Most of the playoff games, first round at least, are starting at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. I do not understand that. And that's in the US. That's 10 o'clock East Coast time. So we're 5 hours ahead, so it has to be 3 in the morning. And then you've got to assume playoff games have unlimited overtime. So if you can't win in regulation, that overtime can go on and on until there's a winner. And that could finish at like 6, 7 in the morning. So we could wake up and still be a game going on. Really, really interesting timings. The Commonwealth Games as well, because of where Australia time zone, it's very hard to catch any live sport. Again, middle of the night. The highlight show will be on later. Don't spoil it for me. But the Commonwealth Games coverage over here in the UK has been terrible. It's not been great. And I think that's partly because it's too soon after the Winter Olympics, because it's a weird time of year to have it, and they're preparing for the World Cup. in a couple of months in Russia, and that's going to be interesting. But I will check out that score, and I would like to see a full match replay somewhere, and it will probably be online, so I'll be able to check that out. But India and England are two of the best field hockey teams you're going to find. India have always had a very good field hockey team, in England, or Great Britain has always fielded good field hockey teams in both the Olympics and obviously in the Commonwealth Games. England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland have some good hockey teams as well when it comes to field hockey. And I'm not surprised that would be a barnstorming match, because that's two world-class teams. And people say the Commonwealth Games doesn't mean anything to athletes who participate. It bloody well does. It really does. The Commonwealth Games does mean something to those athletes who take part in it. Absolutely. In relation to the ice hockey, you're going to have to try and catch it on Sky Sports or Premier Sports. If you've got free sports, it might be on there, but I'm not sure if they're going what games they're going to be showing, because there's 3 games on tonight. You see, I haven't seen enough of the Commonwealth Games to comment on the quality of the sport and the quality of the matches. But over here in the UK, the timing is middle of the morning. It's like middle of the night. The programming starts from midnight till 6 in the morning, and then there's another program comes on, and then it winds down about 9, 10 in the morning. So it's just really hard to actually watch all the events. But I have seen a few events. I've seen a bit of the road cycling, and I've seen a few bits and pieces. But this is not a very well publicised Commonwealth Games. They haven't really publicised this very well through the media. And I think the start of the Commonwealth Games was overshadowed with the ongoing cricket story, and a lot of Australian cricketers are still feeling the after effects of that Test series in South Africa. The timings were wrong. Firstly, it's at the wrong time of year. I've never heard of a Commonwealth Games taking place in April before, ever. I have no idea why they're doing it just after Easter. It is very odd and bizarre to me why they're doing it then. I have no idea why they've done it that way. But that's what we have to deal with. I feel that it's too close after the Winter Olympics. No, because the Commonwealth Games always takes place in the same year as the Football World Cup, so it's never had an issue before. They normally host games like this in August, just after the Football World Cup. So why they're doing it before, I don't know. It was the same in 2002 in Manchester. They had the Football World Cup before, and the Commonwealth Games took place after in August, same time as the Olympics. So it's very odd that they've done it out of sync with a normal Olympic Commonwealth cycle. I have no idea. I don't know why the organisers have chose this time of year, but it's on the Gold Coast, and you've got the Rugby League and the AFL, and that could be partly to avoid clashing with the NRL and the AFL in Australia. Apart from that, that's not a good enough reason, because you can sort out fixtures where you have the Gold Coast Titans and the Brisbane Broncos playing a lot of their games away, because the Commonwealth Games are spread out all over Australia. It's not just taking place in Gold Coast. They're using event grounds all over the east coast of Australia, in Sydney and Victoria and Melbourne and Brisbane. They're using a lot of events all over the east coast of Australia. But it is what it is. Country challenge. I don't know. I mean, he wants to play. He's playing in the IPL, so he's. I don't know. I honestly don't know whether Virat Kohli should be allowed to play. You're allowed so many overseas players in domestic cricket, but with cricket at the moment, there's a lot of things going on that are negative, and I think cricket it really just needs some positive stories out of the sport at the moment, because there are things about the sport that need to change, such as the day-night test match. I think that is the way forward for the main form of the game. And there's obviously been issues with the Australian team. But I don't honestly. I think Kylie will be in. He'll be in the IPL. He's a key component of the IPL. He's one of the main selling points of the IPL to the Indian public. So I don't know whether him going to England would really do it, because there's a Test match series in August anyway. So I don't know how that would work. Juventus 1-0 up. That's good, but they've got to do a Roma, basically. They've got to score a minimum of 3 goals and a maximum of 4. They have to basically outscore what Real Madrid did and hope Real Madrid don't score. And I don't think Real Madrid are the Real Madrid of old, where they would occasionally implode because they were the Galacticos. Now they're a much better team. I think it may be a bit too much for Juventus, but Barcelona crumbled last night. Man City have collapsed in the Champions League. If I'm honest, Juventus could do it, but I think Real Madrid will have too much for them. But we'll have to follow that score line over the next 2 hours. Bidding pro. Well, I'm using Live Scrap. Yeah, my Live Scrap won't work on my phone for some reason, so I'm relying on you guys to keep me updated with the Champions League scores, because my live score doesn't want to work on my phone for some reason. It won't let me. It just doesn't want to cooperate. I think Juventus have a chance, but it's going to be hard. Roma had the opportunity to do what they did last night because they had an away goal. Juventus hadn't. They're starting on the back foot. Real Madrid have got the 3 away goals, so it's a tougher challenge for Juventus. But if Roma can do it, and Roma are not playing well in Serie A, Juventus can. So we shall see. But Guardiola has been charged today with improper conduct because of his clash with the officials last night, and Liverpool have been charged for their fans' misbehaviour at both home and away legs by their throwing of missiles, including flares. So we'll have to see what happens with Guardiola and Liverpool, and if they can test the charges or not. Something else I want to talk about, and I know it's not been asked yet, but the NHL Seattle expansion. This is very, very interesting, because I did a video on the NHL today, which was sort of like a subscriber request, because I can't watch any of the NHL games tonight because they take place at stupid o'clock in the morning, and I prefer to sleep, actually physically get some sleep, because I feel shattered. I was looking at what teams should be moved, or would they look at relocation, and it's very interesting that in the UK we don't have teams relocate. It's very rare. MK Dons is the only team I can think of in the last 10, 20 years to do that, or Solihull Barons in British ice hockey. We don't normally have teams relocate from their locations. So it's a difference of cultures. The 2 cycling stories. One guy's obviously died, Michael Goulart's, and he was 23 and he had a heart attack. And Remy Di Gregorio, the French cyclist, has tested positive for EPO. So cycling's having a bit of a crappy week. But I've covered a lot of topics today on my channel. I've done a lot of videos today. But I'm interested to see what questions you have. And let's see what you guys ask, because I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say. I'm very, very interested to see what you want me to talk about. Really, I mean, I've just gone over what I've covered today on the channel, but I'll be very interested to see what you guys have to say and what questions you have. So I'm going to throw it over to you guys. Ask your questions. Ask away. Because I'm also happy to take notes on any video ideas. So if you've got any ideas for videos, if you have any topics you want to discuss, I'm happy to do that as well, and make a note and look into it for you guys and do a video. So if someone wants me to do a video on a specific, do you think cricket should introduce a test tournament? Technically they have the World Cup, and that was the World Cup. One Day Internationals actually was bred out of Test cricket, and in the early World Cups they wear all white. The Test tournament, I don't know, a tri-series Test series. It's because the length of Test cricket. I think Test cricket itself needs to adapt to the day-night Test and get used to that. But the issue with cricket is the people running and running the sport and and um, making the rules and looking at all formats of the game needs reform. Cricket governance needs reform. Um, and I wasn't aware of the Intercontinental Test Cricket Championship, but we'll see how that first series comes about. The people running the game, the people in charge of the international test arena, and in fact, just cricket in general, the people governing the game, so the national governing bodies, the regional governing bodies, and then the ICC themselves. The sport needs to reform because the sport has a lot of issues right now. We'll see how this Intercontinental Test Championship does. So we'll see how it does. But I think cricket at the moment also needs to still fully adapt to the day-night test, and they need to work out how to best use the pink ball or make the pink ball. Should they go to the white ball for test match cricket? Should they stick with the red? Because day-night, the floodlights are bright enough to replicate sunlight. Should cricket test cricket go from wearing all whites to wearing the multicoloured uniforms that T20 and one-day international teams wear? At least make it a bit more colourful. There are things cricket can look at, but that is a very good question. They're obviously going to trial this 3-year tournament and see how it works. There are certain test sides in the test rankings that I think deserve 5-match test series like New Zealand, and we gave them a 2-test series, which I don't think is good enough for a team of New Zealand's quality with where they are in the world and how they've been playing. I think they're one of the best teams at the moment in the world, and the ICC is not respecting them enough. And with what's happened with Australia, it shows that governance of the game and governance of national sides and who is responsible for what needs to change as well. But yes, the Sydney Swans were a relocation team in Aussie rules, but it's not something that happens a lot in Anglo-Saxon sport, as I'll call it. Relocations of teams don't happen a lot. It's very, very rare. It's literally if there is no other choice. For some reason, in North American sports, they like relocating their teams too much, and that affects the sport's stability and the leagues they're in long-term stability as well. So that's why I did a video on the NHL moving teams and why they haven't done it so much in the last 20 odd years. It would be we have no choice. But no, I'll be very interested to see how this Intercontinental Test Championship does. I'll be very, very interested to see how it does, because cricket needs to evolve. Test cricket especially needs to look at new ways of attracting fans, growing the game, because T20 in the last 10 years has really increased participation amongst young people. And a lot of these young cricketers aren't really wanting to play Test cricket, or they don't see Test cricket as what it should be, which should be the ultimate test of your cricketing skill. But we are seeing the skills come over from T20 and into one-day cricket, and from one-day cricket into Test cricket. The reverse sweeps, the interesting bowling techniques, where back of the hand balls and the slower ball from fast bowlers. Yeah, well, if India and Pakistan has enough issues, enough problems. They're not allowed to play Test matches in Pakistan. They're playing them in the UAE. And I'm not surprised India won't want to go to Pakistan after what happened in Mumbai in 2008. But we'll have to see what happens and what happens with this 3-year plan, and whether the teams are happy. Because we've got to work out, will the teams be happy doing it? Obviously, they've been asked to trial it, and we have to see what the players' feedback is. If the players come back and say we prefer just having 4 Test series every 12 months, 2 home, 2 away, can we stick to the test schedule? Then that's what's going to be it. But we have to see what the players' response is, and the fans as well. We have to see what people like us, people who watch the sport, how we perceive it and how we feel about it. Because nothing detracts from an Ashes series in England. Australian ball tampering, I struggle to believe no balls were bowled. Yes. Now, Freddie Flintoff obviously did his podcast on BBC Radio 5 Live with Robbie Savage and the Ping Pong Guy. It's a very funny podcast. It's on once a week, and he basically lays into some members of the media for how they've acted. He lays into the Australian only 3 players involved, which I don't buy. No one buys it. This is why the backlash has been so severe, is because they kept lying, and David Warner is still lying. Steve Smith and Bancroft very quickly accepted their fate, and you can see they are very, very upset. But David Warner, it looks all staged managed to me. That's another issue with the governance of the sport. Because I wouldn't be surprised, in my eyes, if some kind of match fix is involved, and I hope that is not the case. I really do. But more will come out. More will come out from this event, and people will eventually admit their roles in it. Whether the bowlers knew and weren't accepting of it and said they didn't want it to happen and they went ahead with it, that's something else. If the bowlers said, look, don't tamper with the ball today, because the 3 guys involved were Australia's 3 best batsmen. Those guys could back you out of a situation and get you a draw or get you a win. They weren't outside. So I don't understand them tampering the ball. That's your 3 best batsmen you've got, and they're the backbone of your scoring run attack when you're batting in, an opener, and then your 2 upper middle order batsmen you can bat all day and bat 2 days at the crease if they have to. I find it very hard to believe that they would do it alone. But then again, you've got to think the bowlers, the other players, would have known and not agreed with it. That's the only thing I can take, is the other players who did know were like, can you not do it? Freddie Flintoff even said to the Ping Pong Guy on his podcast. So the Freddie Flintoff, Robbie Savage, and the Ping Pong Guy podcast, he even says to his fellow presenter, give me a ball, sandpaper one side, and I'll be able to tell you it's been tampered with. Give me 2 balls and I can tell you which one is tampered with, and you have to tamper with 1 ball but not tell me which one it is. Freddie Flintoff basically lays the beans out, lays his cards out, and basically said it would be impossible for others not to know. It would be absolutely impossible. Yes, Afghanistan is going to play their first Test match soon. So are Ireland as well. So that's going to be interesting. You won't be able to get it in India. You have to subscribe to the channel in the UK. But it's basically called Freddie Flintoff, Robbie Savage, and the Ping Pong Guy podcast. It's a BBC British podcast on BBC Sport and Radio 5 Live. I don't think it's available in India. But there are snippets of it online, and the bit when Freddie Flintoff basically lays out and says the bowlers would have known, unless Mitchell Starc thinks he's Wasim Akram. I wouldn't be surprised if the bowlers and the other fielders were saying to these 3, don't tamper, please, just don't do it. But they've obviously not been heard, and Warner's carried on with his stupid plan. Yes, Warner. What's Warner's been evasive about in questioning? So when questions have been asked to David Warner, he's been, I will tell you in time. And now for the last week and a half, it's been dead quiet, and there's been nothing from David Warner. Smith and Bancroft, they've obviously gone into shutdown mode, and I think Cricket Australia are possibly giving them the mental health support, because this, is kind of shattering. But Freddie Flintoff gave his podcast and his radio show, and he basically said, you give me 2 balls, one of them has been tampered with, I can tell you which one's been tampered with, straight away. He even mentioned that every cricketer is ball tampered at some point, but nothing as blatant and as shoddy as that, which makes you wonder if there was a match fix involved, hence why David Warner's iffiness with the cameras. But at the end of the day, that cricket scandal is the current issue with cricket, is the culpability of players, the responsibility of players to, actually have more respect for the game. The ICC giving different penalties to what Cricket Australia gave, and very lenient penalties, I thought. And I thought Cricket Australia were tough, but a tough one has to be taken to eradicate this from the game. Even though most people in cricket say the penalties were too harsh, the ICC penalties were too lenient. In my eyes, the ICC has a lot of issues with governance, and it needs to reform. Otherwise, no one's going to take them seriously. They're burning all their bridges with all the major test playing nations. So it's insane to me, and it makes no sense to me why they don't reform it. It's like I wouldn't be surprised if the ICC has the same problems as FIFA. It would not surprise me if the ICC and has the same issues as FIFA did with corruption and lack of governance. But very interesting questions which have been raised there, and I don't want to go too off on one topic. Yeah, Juventus is there. Well, Juventus are 1-0 up last we checked. I just forget about it. Yeah, this is what worries me about, especially about India. A lot of the apologists for the Australians were from the sub. It's 2-0. Okay, 2-0. Okay, Juventus can do it. That is going to be as just as shocking as last night then in the football. If what about the Indian subcontinent is when a lot of the comments I saw were very apologetic and apologising for the cheating. They were Steve Smith, David Warner, and Bancroft apologists, and they were very forgiving. And when I said no, I don't think we should forgive these guys. I think this has to be the the watershed moment in the sport. Okay, enjoy the Juventus game. This has to be the watershed moment in the sport. And I was called disgusting. I was called a vile person. I was trolled by a load of people, and I basically said no. We finally have to accept that this practice is wrong. These guys have also been vile in the so-called sledging. I don't mind a little bit of banter, but some of the things that like David Warner was saying to players was pretty disgusting, if all be told. And there's a certain boundary line you don't cross, and David Warner's regularly crossed it. So I have no problem with them getting banned and suspended by their governing body or and severely reprimanded. Well, it's like when Jonathan Trott was suffering from mental health issues, and Marcus Trescothick, he was going on about mental health issues as if it was a joke. And sadly, in sport over the last 20 years, there's been many high-profile suicides of ex-sportsmen or current sportsmen who have killed themselves, and occasionally some sportswomen as well. And unfortunately, there's too many of these instances now of inappropriate behaviour, ill discipline off the field as well. David Warner is known for punching people in pubs and headbutting people after the day's play in a test match, and David Warner is not a very well liked character in the sport, but in other sports as well, there are issues with certain characters like this, and there is a moral line. And for my eyes, David Warner regularly crosses the moral line as well as the professional line where he's cheated. I know they're good cricketers, but unfortunately, I think this has to be the watershed moment. This has to be the moment where they go, right, the sports culture has to change, and the ICC needs to reform itself. And I think even the governing bodies of the various countries need to reform themselves as well. I do watch the IPL occasionally when I can, but not as often as I would like. And hello, everyone who's just joined. Questions in the chat, and I'll do my best to talk about the topics out of question. Basically, I'm in Cantona. Basically, he's sledged people about their wives, health issues, personal issues like a friend or family relative friend or relative has died, and David Warner is kind of like that. He will cross that line where it gets really personal, rather than just like, oh, the last time you faced this bowler, you edged it. Oh, don't edge it. Don't take the piss. Yeah, he is a scumbag. He's not a very nice guy. And I wouldn't. Okay, this is what worries me about the Roma result last night, and then suddenly Juventus spring a surprise like this. Very odd, very coincidental that. Roma played well last night, and Barcelona didn't play well in the first leg, but they won 4-1. But yeah, I don't get why Warner's wife said she felt responsible. I don't know why that she said that. Very odd, very bizarre. But every media thing he's done, It's weird. It's very strange. Yes, Juventus have to win 4-0, but Roma won 3-0 last night, and they did it with an away goal. So I wouldn't be surprised if Juventus give it a go and just go for broke. Yes, there's 64 days till the World Cup, and I will be doing a video on my concerns about the World Cup and what to expect in Russia as well. I'll be doing a video on it. I have some concerns about the fan safety, corruption, match fixing, and just the sheer distances. That some of these players are going to be travelling like 3,000 to 6,000 miles in the World Cup, depending on how far they get. So that's something that needs to be looked at. I don't know why she got involved either. It was very weird. Well, since he's been married to her, like David Warner apparently does yoga now, and he does all this like vegetarianism and all this basically new fad celebrity stuff. She's an triathlete. She's a very driven, powerful ego as well. But it's a very weird situation. Unless like she's introduced him to someone who's encouraged him to match fix. That's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing something that I maybe shouldn't. But after what happened with Hansi Kronya when I was in my early teenage years, with Hansi Kronya when he got done, and he lied to the South African Parliament about his involvement. Steve Smith, I think he was too naive. He was not mature enough to be Australia captain, and he's got to take. And he's taking the punishment. He said, "I'm taking the punishment." He said, "I'm taking the punishment, and I'm accepting my ban." And for that, okay, fair play to him. He came up straight away and said, "Yeah, we screwed up. We fucked up." But I'm not going to apologise for their behaviour. It's the same if an English player did it. I'll be just as critical, if not more so. No, he didn't really have a choice. But at the same time, if an English player did it, or an Indian player did it, or any other player did it, especially if it was like a Pakistani player, for example, he would have got longer. Yes, Michael Atherton has done it. Ball tampering in 1994. He put dirt in his pocket and he tried it. South Africans do it with Faf du Plessis, to mention a couple. The Pakistanis do it all the time. And Michael Atherton, rightly caught, rightly punished. But again, the ICC punishment for ball tampering offence, 1 game as a maximum. I think, yeah. But we've got to stop feeling sorry for these guys to the point because they accepted, they decided and agreed to cheat. They agreed to cheat. If this happened in any other sport, if let's say, I know David Warner is basically the driving force behind it. Steve Smith and Bancroft have said they were part of a 3-man plan to ball tamper. David Warner was the guy who was really, really driving force, and he's been the driving force in a lot of the bad habits and bad behaviours of the Australian side for most of the last decade. David Warner is a cancer. He's a locker room cancer, and he's now been surgically removed. And I feel sorry for the rest of the Australian side because they had to finish a test series with their 3 best batsmen banned, their captain and vice-captain thrown off the team, and they had to finish the test series. There were calls for that 4th test to be called off, but I don't see how that would work. I mean, but here's the thing, though, that Australian team basically played up to the umpire saying Rabada was being inappropriate to get him a 2-game ban for his shoulder charge and him walking across the wicket and get demerit points. They deliberately wound up Rabada to get him banned. Yet he's banned for the 3rd test. That's South Africa's best bowler. He's banned. They had to tamper the ball to get an advantage. I do not understand the thinking behind that Australian side. Darren Lehmann clearly knew because he was stuffed. At his press conference, he was broken. Tim Payne, the poor player who had to take over as captain, was like, I don't know what I can do. My 3 best players have been suspended. Yeah, the leadership group is normally your captain, your vice captain, your coach, and a couple of senior players, and and that'd be that. Do I think Zidane will get sacked? Real Madrid have not had a good season by their high standards, but Barcelona fell apart last night. It looks like Real Madrid are falling apart tonight. They're 2-0 down. I now a little bit suspicious about both these games because if Juventus manage to score four and Real Madrid don't score a single thing, I'm going to raise some eyebrows then. Roma last night, they got the away goal in Barcelona, and Barcelona did not play well in both legs. But if Juventus suddenly get a win to make an all-Italian semi-final, I would be raising eyebrows. I really would. But no, on the Zidane side, Real Madrid have a habit of sacking managers every year, so it doesn't matter who's in charge of Real Madrid. They normally only last a year on average. Yeah, I'm thinking there could be a match fix. If it ends 4-0 to Juventus because Juventus have to score 4 goals to win the tie, then yeah, that's a match fix to me because Roma's one is a bit odd, but I can accept one crazy result. But if there's 2 crazy results in 2 days, then I'm getting a little bit more concerned because Roma they had the away goal and it doesn't matter if it's a Roma Juventus semi-final or Roma Juventus final. But here's the thing: Roma last night they had the away goal. They scored 3 goals. They won the game, and they won the tie 4-4 in aggregate because they got the away goal. That's a little bit less suspicious than Juventus going out to a 2-0 lead in the Bernabeu. You do not score 2 goals at the Bernabeu, even with Zidane having a crap season as coach. It does not happen that often. You just don't, in European football, score 2 goals at the Bernabeu often. It's very rare that happens. Match fixing, come on. Match fixing, Spanish league's rife with it. Italian league's rife with it. The Greek league's rife with it. Half the leagues of Europe are under investigation for match fixing. And it's a known thing. And the owners of the clubs are very, very open. Panathinaikos, Olympiacos, the whole of the Italian league. There's a match fixing investigation to do with Valencia and Zaragoza. They are loaded, but guess what? Yeah, no, it doesn't matter if they're loaded. They're all under investigation. Half the Barcelona and Real Madrid squads are under investigation for tax evasion and tax fraud. You've got Xabi Alonso could face 5 years. Mascherano's been done. Neymar, Messi, Ronaldo's been investigated for tax offences. Alexis Sanchez has been investigated for tax offences. Just because someone's rich, I've seen match fixing. I've seen match fixing allegations. I mean, why? Okay, if all these sportsmen are so loaded, why does match fixing take place then? If they're all so loaded, why does match fixing take place in Italian football, Spanish football, Greek football, Turkish football, German football? They're investigating about 500 matches, including World Cup games. But okay, why did Juventus get relegated 3 leagues? Because they even admitted match fixing. They admitted in the Colompico scandal in 2006, yeah, we actually fix referees to get favourable results. Panathinaikos and Olympiacos have been investigated for match fixing. It is, and Conte was involved at Siena, not Juventus. He was involved at Siena, and then when he was at Juventus, he got his year-long ban for his involvement in match fixing. Juventus is one of the biggest clubs in the world. If Real Zaragoza and if Deportivo La Coruña are taking Zaragoza to court because they say that there's a match fixing thing here in the La Liga, and what's his name? And the Man United, Ander Herrera, the Man United player, is under investigation as one of 30 witnesses to be called because they also received suspicious payments the day before the match. But it's irrelevant because the other side had to be involved in the fix, and it did happen. In fact, Regina, an Italian team, match fixed to lose. To make the ultimate comeback seem, oh, it's 4 goals. If Juventus win 4-0, I'm going to be, because I know it's got weird, but if Juventus win by 4-0, then 2 shock underdog victories in 2 days in the Champions League in the knockout stages for me. I can deal with 1 if there's 2 that underdog stories, because Roma are really, really crap in Serie A this season. They are nowhere. They are terrible this season. Juventus are fighting for the top of the league. I've lived in Italy. I know about match fixing. I've seen it. I've seen fixed matches. I've seen goalkeepers deliberately put the ball in their own net. I was living in Italy at the time of the Colompico scandal. And Italian fans were like, it's 1980 all over again. The Italian football had it in the 1980s. Conte was banned for a year when he was coaching Juventus. When he was coach of Siena, he failed to admit that he knew about match fixing when the club president bribed referees. Turkish football, Turkish football is full of them. Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, AEK Athens, all of them have been investigated for match fixing. The guy who owns Nottingham Forest is being investigated for corruption in football and drug offences. Spanish football is not immune. Most of European football, there's about 500 games that various authorities are looking at for allegations of match fixing because of the suspicious betting patterns. I've just been burned by some sports. There are some sports that I no longer follow as much as I used to. It's like cycling today. This young cyclist who was 23, Michael Goulaerts, he was from Belgium, died of a heart attack. An hour later, Remy de Gregorio, a French cyclist who was in the same event, tests positive for a banned substance called EPO. So that's why I lost my love with cycling, because the cyclists are still doping and they're still risking their lives. I would be surprised if Russia win, but at the same time, why would I? If they don't get out of the group, that would be fine, because Russia are the lowest ranked team in the World Cup. They, by right, should get stuffed in their group. They should lose all 3 games. They're ranked below Panama in the world. That's how bad Russia are at the moment. If they get out of the group and they win all 3 of their games, what do you expect? I wouldn't be surprised if they went all the way and won the World Cup. But this is what I'm worried about, the Russian World Cup is match fixing. It's because they're the hosts. The hosts are always put into pot A. They're the host nation. They automatically qualify, but they are the lowest ranked team in the World Cup. They are ranked below Panama. They are ranked below every European. I think they're ranked 68th in the world, and Panama are ranked 64th. I'll have to double check that while rankings have changed, but when the draw was made, Russia was the lowest ranked side. And because they're not playing any competitive matches until the World Cup, they're only playing friendlies, that doesn't really affect ranking points as much as competitive qualifiers would. But no, Russia's got a really bad team. This Russian side is not good. So if they were to go on a long run through the World Cup and do surprisingly well, I'll be a bit suspicious. Belgium and Tunisia are going to be very, very tough opponents because the Belgian side is all Premier League players. They're going to know about us and we're going to know about them. Tunisia, unknown quantity. We don't have any real Tunisians playing in England at the moment. I think Jaidi's now retired, so there's no Tunisians playing in England. So that'll be interesting. And of course, Panama, they're going to park the bus. And our problem is we can't play 3 teams. So I think all 3 matches, we are going to find it difficult. I think we're going to find it harder than people realise. Belgium, England is going to be a very good game because that'll be very, very open, because the style of football Roberto Martinez wants his side to play is all out attack, really. Look at him at Wigan and Everton. He had a great attack, poor defence. And Vincent Kompany doesn't look like he's fully fit. So if Vincent Kompany plays much game time or even goes, I'll be amazed. Alderweireld and Vertonghen, they're both teammates at Tottenham. That will help. Apart from that, it's all out attack from Belgium, and England set up for the counter attack. So that game could be high scoring. Panama, England don't look suited to playing 3 teams. We need to counter attack, and Panama are probably only going to get 1 or 2 opportunities from set pieces because they're quite a tall team. So they're just going to whip it in the long ball or cross it into the box. But Gareth Southgate, for some reason, he sets up the counter-attack and then he expects us to play through players. Tunisia, we don't know enough about the Tunisians to really know. They're an unknown entity. I do occasionally watch West Ham fan TV and Arsenal fan TV. I find it really funny. I find the fan TV channels really, really funny because it's from the fans' point of view, which is sort of like this channel. I do it from the sports fans' point of view, and there are some channels which are devoted like yours to Chelsea, so you're basically like Chelsea fan TV. You are a Chelsea fan, your channel is Chelsea based. there's a couple of channels I subscribe to that are based around a specific sport. So they're sports fans of that one particular sport. But I like watching Arsenal Fan TV because that's the funniest one. Arsenal Fan TV is brilliant because some of the Arsenal fans are the funniest fans, and they are getting so stressed out with Arsene Wenger and Stan Kroenke as the owner. It just makes me laugh, some of the responses they come out with. Yeah, they're funny. They are funny, and some of the fans they interview. There was one kid. There was one bloke who goes, "Oh, you an Arsenal fan? Yeah, 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 yeah. So what do you make of the game?" He goes, "Well, thank fuck I'm blind. I didn't have to see it." So a blind man went with a radio in his pocket to obviously feel the atmosphere because he's a blind man. His hearing is going to be really, you know. And his mate took him, and he's got the radio. He's got a severe sight problem. He's got like 20% vision. And then DT and Troops go up to him and go, "What do you make of the game?" He's like, "Well, thank fuck I'm blind. I didn't have to see that fucking defeat." And that is a blind man. That is the humour Arsenal fans have. Arsenal fans have the best humour. Though I don't like Arsenal, their fans have the best humour. It is funny, but I do occasionally watch. You know, fans' viewpoint is exceptionally important to how your club is doing, or your team, or your sport. Fans' viewpoints get overlooked. Fans do not have much of a say in how their sports, or how their clubs, or how their teams are run. So in some leagues, and I think that needs to change. The fans' viewpoint is vital, and when you listen to fans, some of them have great sense of humour. I go to fans for Farrell because they run pro balls, which blocks the screen with a huge hand and says "Turn off your blocker." Yes, I hate pop-up ads. I understand when I was monetized, not everyone would sit through an ad more than 30 seconds. I think YouTube needs to change the length of the ads they have, because when you skip the ad, I don't get paid. But now I'm not monetized, it's not as big an issue. But when I was monetized, I was looking at some of my videos that had over 1,000 views and they weren't making a lot of money, where other videos were. So I'm thinking the length of ad that was put up annoyed people. If it's a short ad, it's fine. If it's less than 30 seconds, most people don't skip it. If it's more than 30 seconds, they're not going to want to watch an advert and they'll skip. But yeah, no, certain websites, they need to work out their advertising formats because I hate pop-up ads. They are frustrating. It's a fan forum, so I don't know why that would be a thing. Oh yeah, no, I have ad blocker, and only on the trusted sites like YouTube, which do trust the ads that have been put on there by the ad providers, which they have a contract with. Then you can turn your YouTube ad blocker on and off, and I keep mine off because some of the channels I follow, it's their source of income. Some of these guys, and for me to turn my ad block on, I'm denying them income, and that's not right. That's not fair. And if you guys have your ad block on, that's fine. If the main reason why monetization rules have changed, Logan Paul was Suicide Forest. The reason why they went for protecting the big guys, I have no idea why. The small guys made a huge percentage of YouTube's profits for them. But the Logan Paul controversy, and then there's other issues as well with some of the users. It's a complicated issue, but you have to read if you've signed up for monetization, and I'm on the AdSense program, so when I hit back to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of view time, which I'm well on the way to doing, and so are you, Kemal, because I've seen your channel grow a lot. We've been growing basically at the same rate between us. We've gained about 100 subscribers each in the last month. So our channels are both growing at the same rate. We'll probably get monetized at about the same time, remonetized. Just if you were monetized before and you haven't had any copyright strikes, they'll review your channel and you're straight away in there. And then I may swear a little bit less than I am now. I'm swearing a bit more in my videos because, well, I'm not monetized. So, you see, I don't mind. If like donating, I have, as long as it's as long as the money's going to the right place. I mean, it's not going to the pockets of unscrupulous bastards. I don't mind donating. That's why I've stopped doing funding, giving money to GoFundMe pages, because GoFundMe take a huge portion out of that, and don't tell you when you're donating. At my mate's funeral, we found out that the GoFundMe page to pay for his funeral had a shortfall of £1,000. even though we donated more than what the funeral costs were. GoFundMe took a large proportion of that and lined their own pockets. Yeah, I hope we grow well too as well. I know I'm a bit suspicious of match fixing. I hope Juventus and Roma haven't had, and Real Madrid and Barcelona haven't had to fiddle things. But as you say, Messi was out of sorts. Barcelona looked out of sorts in the first leg as well. But Roma did a number at home. Roma are very good at home. And when Roma want to play well, they can, but they are struggling sometimes in the Serie A this season. But Juventus looked at all at sea against Real Madrid last week. They were clearly the second best side on the field, and somehow they're 2-0 up. I don't know. Yeah, you can hit them on really quick, but if Real Madrid go on and lose, 4-0, I'll be very surprised. Jets in 5. I think it will. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's we beat Minnesota in 5 games. But I don't think there's any kind of sweeps. There's going to be no 4-0 sweeps. I think every first round series, I think most series, in this Stanley Cup run for any side are going to go to a minimum of 5 games. But we shall have to see. I mean, I'm not going to be able to watch the game tonight because it takes place at about 3-4 o'clock my time in the morning, 3-4 a.m. And that is because for some reason everything's East Coast timed and it's all taking place really, really late. And I mean, the game, if it goes to unlimited overtime, that could mean I could still be awake as the game. I could wake up as the game is finishing. Yes, match fixing does break a lot of hearts. I do not understand why professional athletes would do it. They're paid enough at the top level. But Hansi Kronya, yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh's game starting at midnight UK East Coast time, which is what? We're 5 hours ahead. That's 5 o'clock in the morning for us. Again, this is why the NHL has issues getting good viewership for the playoffs in some locations, and this is why the NHL has issues growing the game in America because the timings are stupidly late. So that's why certain areas of America and Canadians get really infuriated by this. I mean, the golf network has games. The golf network has games. Or does it start in UK at midnight? I was under the impression that we're 5 hours ahead, and I thought because I know the Winnipeg game is starting late East Coast time, and it'll be like 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning when that game starts here in the UK. But even so, midnight in the UK, I mean, it's reasonably acceptable. Had it been like 10:30, 11, it might have been better, but because most of the hockey NHL fan base is in the northeast of the US and the east east side of Canada. Again, New York and Toronto seem to dominate the media world in North America, and it pisses off most of the other fans, both in the US and Canada and around the world. I wouldn't be suspicious if one of the Italian teams got to the final because they played well as a team and they fought for each other. But if Juventus and Roma make the final, I'm going to be a little bit okay. Serie A isn't that good anymore, especially considering the comeback win from Roma. Okay, I can accept one comeback win and a bit of momentum, but if Juventus do a 4-0 tonight or anything else, I'm going to be a bit concerned. They did play well, and they even played reasonably well defensively in the first leg, and they got that away goal. Juventus didn't play well in their first leg, but I'm only saying it as I've lived in a country where match fixing happens a lot, and I've lived in Italy. I've read the Gazzetta dello Sport when the fucking the betting scandal. Basically, players were betting on their own games, and club presidents were paying referees to give them favourable decisions, and going to the referee's chairman and going, "Give us this referee. We want this ref. We want this specific ref," and paying large amounts of euros. Yeah, top level athletes still. If Madrid don't score, then that's going to be a bit odd because they're in the Bernabeu. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 4-0 just to make me more suspicious. The thing is, I was watching a documentary from about a Canadian investigative journalist, and I forget the journalist's name, which is really annoying, but he investigated match fixing. And it's not just lower level sport, like the lower levels where it happens. Top athletes in top leagues around the world are doing it. and it's happened in cricket a lot. And some of the cricket players who've actually done match fixing are the big name players like Srisanth and oh no, I've done I am going to be doing a video on Serie A, and I will be revisiting the 2006 match fixing scandal. I think it's not just Italian teams; it's match fixing in sport in general. But for some reason, when I do video, I've done a video on match fixing before, and it didn't get many views. People don't they seem to forget very quickly about corruption in sport, and they seem to be very forgiving for those who have been involved in corruption in sport. They're upset for a little while, and then they just forget about the fact that there's organised crime links and criminals are behind this, and certain players have got really, really greedy. And this is why I don't like gambling advertising in sports, like Bet365 and Ladbrokes sponsoring football teams, because it's well known that you give a young athlete a massive contract, he's going to do silly things like go to the casino, go down the betting shop, get drunk, get into debt, and then you find he has a gambling addiction. Many football players have had gambling problems. Many. It's a high number. It's like Stuart Bingham betting on his own games, betting on snooker matches, which is against the rules. And he got caught, and he got suspended. He got banned for 6 months. Yeah, no, it's true. I think a lot of these sportsmen are overpaid. I think the betting companies now have too much power with the advertising and the sponsorship. I'm not saying gambling is wrong, okay? If it's done in moderation, it's a good little giggle. I mean, I'm going to have a bet on the Grand National this weekend because I always do, and I always win money on it. But I have a big concern with a lot of these big gambling firms here and abroad in other countries, because in some countries it's illegal, some countries it is legal, and there's different legalities. It's like the fantasy football leagues. That's gambling. You can sign up for as money free, or you pay your money. That's gambling. And itchy leg. Yeah. Oh shit. That's it. I had a spot on my leg. That was a win. No concern with the amount of influence the gambling firms have in sport, because they sponsor the events, they sponsor the teams, they advertise at TV breaks, they sponsor the programs or advertise on the programs that will be, hosting let's say the World Cup coverage sponsored by insert gambling company here. And some of these players do have gambling problems, and it is an issue. It is an issue. In France, it's illegal to advertise alcohol on your football shirts. So when you see the F1 teams that may have, let's say, an alcohol sponsor, if they were racing in France, that alcohol sponsor disappears, and there has to be another logo put there. So if you're watching Champions League and let's say you've got a team sponsored by an alcohol brand, when they play away in France, you'll notice that alcohol brand disappears from their shirts, because it's illegal to have alcohol advertising in French sport. Much like tobacco advertising nowadays. Even though when the tobacco advertising was on the motor racing cars, their liveries were so much better than they are now. They look stupid now, but it's what it is. But yeah, no, match fixing is a big thing. Pro athletes do it a lot. And it's really stupid because the risk versus the reward is life ban from the sport, possibly go to prison, or keep playing the sport and have a lengthy career where you can make probably more money than what you would have made fixing the game. I think cricket and football are two of the worst sports for match fixing. Cricket's got a lot of issues, football's got a lot of issues, and there are people in the chat who why does sponsorship gets the rights for stupid names? Stadium. It's a money thing. It's a money grab. They sign agreements. We'll pay you. Let us have our name on your stadium, and we'll pay you a contract. So we're one of the club sponsors, and they go, yeah, all right. So like the Reebok Stadium used to be obviously what was, now it's the Macron, which is Bolton. The Britannia was the main advertiser for Stoke. Now it's Bet365. Obviously, Sports Direct Arena, which is back to being St James's Park because of the backlash. I don't like it. I don't like the over corporatisation. It's the same in America and Canada in the ice hockey, and it's coming that way in Australia as well. It's very like that in Australia. The corporate advertising beast. I'm not a fan of it. I have never been a fan of it. I don't like it at all. But it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and I think that's where I think sport has lost. Some of the sports come from working in middle class communities or backgrounds, and they've lost touch with that, and they've gone corporate, and they're raking this money in, and yet loads of these clubs are still in debt. Do I watch the AFL? Oh, I do watch occasionally when I can. Yes, I do catch the odd Aussie rules game when I can. I'm a casual viewer. I'm not a hardcore AFL fan, but I do dip in and out, and I will happily watch the odd game. I find it interesting. It's an interest. It's always good to like uh, uh, I'll have to read that David Foster Wallace novel, but that's where sport is going. They've gone full corporate, and there's very few leagues that are semi-pro or amateur. I suppose it would have to be. I suppose you have to be on a lot of substances to write it. But it is interesting. And I was looking at, the videos I've done today, and what is really striking is that these topics that I talk about, or the issues that come up with a athlete misbehaving, regularly keep happening. So with Conor McGregor doing what he did last week, it's so insert name here, athlete, punch up, or assault charge. So Ben Stokes last year, it doesn't matter why he did it, assault charge. Then you got like athlete, insert name, insert offence on trial. There's been a lot of them as well. So sport, for some reason, is not getting on top of the issues it has, and a lot of them are the younger athletes doing these silly things, not the older athletes. It's the younger athletes, the younger sportsmen, some sportswomen. Because if you look at Hope Solo, she's not a nice person. She's a bit of a nasty person. They're these big money contracts. They're normally below the age of 30. They're on massive money. They're quite young. They're quite inexperienced in the ways of the world. And yeah, silly things. They do silly stuff. They will either get involved in drink, drugs, women, gambling, other silly things, and then they end up having an accusation against them, or getting involved in a punch up, or doing something stupid, and they end up in a court of law. But the same issues keep coming up day on day. We've talked a lot about match fixing in football and cricket. I love talking about all these sports, but I would like to, talk about other stuff as well. I mean, I've done videos on the cyclist who died today. Fun question: what's your favourite music video that took a sports theme? Yeah, that's quite funny. But I would have to say Park Life, because they did a Mars advert with it. Park Life by Blur, and then a year after Park Life came out, Blur agreed to play a dubbed, well, agreed to have their music on a Mars advert for the 98 or the 96 or 98 World Cup, 96 Euros or 98 World Cup, and Mars was sponsoring England, and Park Life, the Park Life advert, when Blur allowed the rights to their song to be used by Mars, and that was quite funny. But then you got like the England Italia 90 England song, which was quite cringe. And Three Lines on His Shirt by Bedell and Skinner, that in '96, I remember that. But there've been a couple. The Zinedine Zidane one was a funny, really funny. I shouldn't have laughed at it because he did actually headbutt someone, but it was quite funny. there were several Scotland songs from the 70s that were cringe, and there were several from England from the 80s that were also just as bad. I mean, Glenn Hoddle and Chris Waddle released an album, and we will never talk about that because that was horrific. But yeah, there was a thing in the 70s and 80s for football players to become musicians and be really, really shit at it and really embarrassing. And I'm so glad they don't do it anymore because it's just wrong and makes my ears bleed. Right, we've been going for an hour now, so that's not bad going. We've had a good live stream. It's been pretty solid, constant questions for an hour. That's pretty good. But it is interesting, some of the stuff that's happened, especially in the cycling. You would think what happened with Lance Armstrong with the EPO doping, and they still 2-0. Okay, so nothing's changed. I'm less suspicious now they've had a quick start. But if they were to win by more than 3-0, then it gets a bit interesting. Yeah, no, Kevin Keegan's done it. Glenn Hoddle and Chris Waddle, Gaza and John Barnes have done it. They were actually half decent though on their Italian 90 song. They were half decent. And yeah, Gaza did yeah. Cycling is a sport more than just full of corruption. It's full of doping, and obviously Michael Goulart died of a heart attack on the Paris Roubaix one day classic, and it's been confirmed today. Within half an hour of that being confirmed on the sports media, Remy Di Gregorio gets caught and doping with EPO, which is what Lance Armstrong was doing for 10 years. And it seems to me cycling has learned nothing, absolutely nothing, from the events of Lance Armstrong, Floyd Landis, Alberto Contador, Jan Ullrich, Marco Pantini. Nothing. Absolutely soddle. And now it's 3-0, and now I just don't know what to believe with football. What would I say is the weirdest Olympic sport? In the Winter Olympics, curling, because I rather watch varnish dry. And now Juventus are 3-0, so I'm going to become more and more suspicious, because if they win 4-0, I will shave my hair off. I will fucking shave my hair off. I will find my razor and I'll shave my hair off. Or I'll eat. I don't know what I'll do. I cannot believe Juventus are 3-0 in the Bernabeu. That is not right. No, synchronized swimming is like synchronized gymnastics. They're a bit odd, but no, I think curling is a weird one. But no, synchronized. Yeah, I can see synchronized swimming and synchronized gymnastics as well. Yeah, I can go with that. Rhythmic gymnastics, that's the one. I can go with that. But we shall see. The goal shouldn't have been allowed. The keeper 2 hands. See, and the goal's been allowed. So I'm instantly seeing. And what have I been saying? That corruption in football is still here. I mean, there's that Barcelona Chelsea game in 2009, which everyone knows was fixed, and no one will admit to it. So I don't know what to believe anymore. I'm going to do a football corruption video, and I'm going to highlight several scandals because no one believes that these top end athletes match fix. The Spanish league is rife with it. The Greek league is rife with it. The Turkish league, the Italian league, the German league, the Russian league. So many leagues in Europe. The French league, Marseille match fixed to win the Champions League and the French League One title in 1992. I don't know how many more cases of match fixing I can come up with. I mean, Christ. And to be told that, like, match fix, why should they do it? They're loaded. Have you not noticed all these Spanish football players who play for Real Madrid and Barcelona are being done for tax fraud and having to pay massive fines to the Spanish tax office? They're going to be like, oh shit, I've lost 4 million quid today. Oh, I might take that bribe to fix a game. Buffon, no, he's yeah. There was a famous cartoon in the Gazzetta dello Sport where you see Gianluigi Buffon deliberately dropping his betting sticks out of his trousers like the Great Escape. And walking away when the Calopico scandal broke, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not been match fixing. I've not been betting." And he actually freely admitted that he bet on his own games, and he bet on his mates' games in other teams, and he bet against his own team when they went on to lose games. So yeah, He was involved in it. He didn't get banned though. He just got relegated out of that league in Italian football, which meant Inter was the best team in Italian football because Juventus were relegated out of relegated down to Serie C, I think. Yeah, they threw the book at Juventus, and then you had Palermo football player, Micali. He's now in prison because he's got links to organised crime. So, yeah, these top level football players, they do it all the time. There's a website called. I'm going to put it down. Okay, I'm writing it. I'm typing it in the the comment section. Try this one. That might work. Cody, hit and miss. It may work. If not, there's a channel called Free Sports, and the other two are Free Sports and Premier Sports, are the channels that have the NHL in the UK. I don't have BT Sports, so I can't see this Champions League, but I will be watching the highlights, and I'll probably put match fixing in the comments and then walk away. Roma and Juventus both having epic comebacks against the two best teams in Europe, and the two best teams in Europe play like shit. I can believe one of them being an underdog story and a one-off event, but two in 2 days, and that's too much of a coincidence for me. I've stopped believing, for me, that's far too much coincidence, and I have to say, yeah, I have my doubts. That's not because I want to be cynical and I want to be suspicious, but I've lived in Italy and I know exactly what happens. There's a reason why Italian fans are stopping going to games and viewership on the TV is down, and why the Italian team has failed to qualify for the World Cup is because the quality of player being produced because the clubs are earning less money is less. All their good players have left. You don't see Zanardi's anymore, Zanetti's, and you don't see Ronaldo's playing in Italy anymore, and there's a reason for that, and it's match fixing. But I now it's equal on aggregate as well, and they're winning in 3-0 in the Bernabeu. When was the last time any team apart from Arsenal won 3-0 in the Bernabeu? Arsenal won 5-1 one year because that was when Real Madrid were actually that bad. That was before Ronaldo joined Barcelona. I remember that game, but I've not seen many games where Real Madrid don't score in the Bernabeu. So to be 3-0 up at just in the beginning of the second half, makes it more entertaining though. Oh yeah, the last two, Free Sports and Premier Sports, are channels. Okay, so but no, that's why I'm skeptical about Champions League these days, because there's too many results that I look at and go, really, yeah. So I don't even know what the Sevilla Bayern Munich score is, because all we're talking about is Juventus and Real Madrid, and how Real Madrid have suddenly stopped playing, much like Barcelona suddenly stopped playing, and Messi looked very, very out of it. And I've seen the match highlights, and you know what? See, that is more realistic because they're two very tightly, contesting teams. Bayern Munich are not quite as strong as they were a couple of years ago, and Sevilla have improved markedly over the last couple of years, and they're now stronger than they were. That, for me, yeah, Sevilla could have been up on the leg. They've got that one goal. They could have been 3-2 on aggregate, and they hit the bar. That to me sounds like a very evenly contested game. That is completely different. But Juventus suddenly reversing 3-0. I mean, last week's live stream, I said they couldn't do it. I said, it's going to be a bit too much for them. Of course, it's fixed. I don't know. I'm joking. I'm joking. Look, if you're pulling balls out the hat, you can't see what you're pulling out. You have to it's into those. You have to undo the little thing. That I don't think so. Bayern Munich won against Seville 2-1 in the first leg. Yes, Juventus might go through, and they put balls, and inside the ball is the name of the club, so they can't tell which ball it is they pull out until they pull out. And no. They will have a little name inside. So you have a ping pong ball, which you undo like a Kinder Egg, and you open up, and the name comes out like a fortune cookie. That's what they did at the World Cup as well. The World Cup draw was like that. They had unmarked balls. You knew which teams were in each pot, but that was it. You didn't know which one was which, and then they opened the ball and the name came out. Like the FA Cup draw, it's random. You can't, choose. Fun thing, someone did FIFA research, but it took 6 years to get obscure. That wouldn't surprise me, because the rich clubs want to stay rich and they want to keep the poor clubs poor by nicking their best players. That's why football has a problem and needs a salary cap. If you put a salary cap in football, that sort of thing would take half as long to do. It would. Put a salary cap in professional football across all leagues across the world. You'll find that it will take less time for a team further down the football pyramid to get to the top, because the big teams then can't afford to nick all your players. My back. I just cannot believe Juventus have managed to turn around a 3-0 deficit at the Bernabeu. That is, but that's on the current situation. He's done his FIFA football simulation, and obviously the statty nerds on Football Manager and things like that do these things all the time. And realistically, it's exceptionally hard for a team in the lower divisions to be successful these days. It's very, very hard for a team outside the top tier or top 2 tiers of a particular country's league system to be successful and win any silverware. It is bloody hard, and to get to the Champions League, it's such a small grouping of teams that have ever played in the Champions League since it was formed in '92 or 1990 when the Champions League came about, that I find it very, very hard that it's almost impossible for a small team to make it into the big time. It doesn't happen as much anymore. It really doesn't. I mean, I wish it happened more, and I wish you could have that underdog story like we used to have in the '60s and '70s. But now with how it is and what we know about match fixing and what we know about betting scandals and what we know about players with all their issues and how much they're paid, it doesn't happen because the smaller clubs cannot afford to pay the big money. That's why that will never happen. It'll be great to see a team like Tranmere Rovers or something like that get. Juventus have that history, so I'm a bit more cynical. I shouldn't say it's match fixing, but I have my doubts. I think I should have phrased it better. Well, they look. Okay, the final you lost on penalties to Man United in the Leszczynski Stadium in 2008. I remember watching that final. But when you did it, I don't think so. I think British football has got an issue with match fixing, but nowhere near as bad. I think the amount of money, but you got to think. When I was told earlier they wouldn't be match fixing, you got to think A, how much prize money is at stake, and B, you got to look at these Italian and these Spanish clubs because their players are getting done for avoiding paying tax. So these individual players are losing a lot of their personal income because they've hidden it from the tax man, and now the tax man wants it. So I don't know. I wouldn't have said so. But at the same time, what can we believe anymore with certain sports? It's reached a point now where I don't think that they are as honest as they should be. And some players have admitted after they retired they took bribes in multiple sports. It's happened in cricket as well. Some of these cricket players, okay, yes, they're paid less than a football player, but on the top end, if they're on centralised contracts plus their sponsorship deals, like Ben Stokes, for example, they get paid a good $1 million plus a year. They are still on good money, plus their sponsorships, plus their TV appearances. They get paid a fair bit. I don't see that Barcelona and Chelsea. Yes, I have my doubts about some games and the. Bruce Grobbelaar. I think he admitted or it was inferred that he deliberately let a ball in for money. Brilliant goalkeeper, but no, I think he did actually admit after he retired that he cheated. He spot fixed. He would either allow a goal in at a certain time, or give away a penalty, or handle the ball outside the box because it was a spot fix. This is before online betting, where you could bet on how many yellow cards in the game. You know, Bruce Grobbelaar, I remember when I was a kid when that came out. Bruce Grobbelaar openly admitted that I basically took bribes to cheat. That's an issue, and the people doing this bribery are those who are organised criminals who want to make a profit gambling. So if you want to, and people still say that Chelsea Barcelona game was fixed. Whether it was or not, it was a suspicious result. There was some very shocking refereeing in that game, that I will admit. Probably yes. If it goes to extra time, that is the most remarkable comeback. If they were to win 4-0, then I get really, really, really suspicious. But I think the extra time, TV revenue. I wouldn't be surprised if both clubs have agreed to take it to extra time for the revenues. Wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a spot fix. Not a full match fix, but a spot fix. Because how can Juventus get 3-0 up in the Bernabeu with what we've seen of Spanish football in Europe over the last 15 years? That, to me, I don't buy it. Yeah, no, we have to pay over here now because ITV and Sky got ripped off by BT, and Ofcom went, that's not a monopoly because you are the only TV channel to show it. So there's issues with a monopoly being held by BT Sport, which is technically illegal, and they got away with it. So yeah, maybe, but something's look. I haven't been watching the game. I've only been following what you guys have been putting in the chat. So the chat is over here for me on my right hand side, and you guys, because my live score app isn't working today for some reason, I can't get all the updated scores, which is really, really annoying. But it is what it is. You did mention if Zidane loses this game, will he get sacked? End of the season. There's 6 games left, maybe. It's like Mick McCarthy walked away from Ipswich last night. His team won the game 1-0, and he went, "That's it. I've had enough." Walked out and quit. So I don't know. Football's gone mad. Do you think Celtic will get next season? Get out of the group stage? No, Celtic never get out of the group stage. They win that 1 or 2 games, but or get a good draw, but they know they never get out. Scottish football hasn't got the quality to compete at the highest level. There are reasons why the national side hasn't qualified for a tournament since 1998. That's 20 years without a tournament football for Scotland. There is a reason why fans don't turn up to 80% of Scottish League games. The quality isn't there. No, Celtic won't get out of the group. They won't. They'll be lucky to get 1 win. It doesn't matter who they're drawn against in their group. They'd be lucky to get a win. But no, but we'll have to see what happens next season. We have to see what happens in the rest of this Champions League, because it looks like Real Madrid could be on the way out. Bayern and Seville is just a 0-0. Sevilla tried to go for the win. Bayern are trying to hold them out. They're going for the win, and both defences are fighting hard to keep each other out. But this Real Madrid score break, you got to look at Barcelona's attack last night. Okay, you got Messi and Suarez. How the hell could they score nothing? Worked that one out. But we've talked a lot about football for the last half an hour, and there are other things going on in sport. I know that you're a lot of football fans, guys. I know you love your football. I don't want football. It's not my favourite sport anymore. It hasn't been my favourite sport for a very long time. Very, very long time. And there was this documentary I was watching. I forget the Canadian journalist's name. But he basically did his research and he went to various police forces and goes, "Look, I'm doing a documentary into match fixing." And a police officer on the record, but without giving his name, said, "We are investigating roughly about 500 games in Europe, including internationals and Champions League matches. 500 games in the last 10 to 15 years, they're looking at. Top flight games. These are games at the highest level they're looking at. And some of them are in England. And some have been at European and World Cups. So European Championships and World Cups. And now it's getting interesting, because if you enter score now, then I will just believe anything's real and I'm Batman." Yeah, no, the thing that's really interesting about the Commonwealth Games is 10-pin bowling was a sport. I can remember when 10-pin bowling was a Commonwealth sport back in 1998 and 2002. Yeah, 10-pin bowling was a sport. Yeah, 20 years ago it was in the Commonwealth Games. I forget where it was. The Commonwealth Games was, I think, Kuala Lumpur in '98 and Manchester in 2002. There was 10-pin bowling, and I remember watching it. 10-pin bowling was a Commonwealth sport. Only for a couple of games though, then they took it away. But no, 10-pin bowling was a sport. That was brilliant. I loved watching that. Yeah, that's a weird sport to be at an international tournament, an international games. Yeah, it exists. Oh, suddenly Real Madrid decide to start playing, because from what I've been hearing all night on the chat is Real Madrid are hopeless, they're not playing, and now suddenly they want to give it a go. Really? I think they've spot fixed a few of those goals to take it to extra time, suddenly score in extra time to go, "Oh yeah, we won 4-3 on aggregate." Because I'll be very interested to see the betting patterns, because the police and the betting companies, there'll be any suspicious betting patterns where there's a large amount of people going for 4-3. They will have a red flag, and then they will contact City of Westminster Police, and they'll contact the various police forces depending on what country they're in, going, "We're picking up some suspicious betting patterns from XYZ game, and X amount of people from this country or this area are suddenly," because they know when you're internet betting, they know where you are, and the amount of people going to shops as well, and they'll work out the suspicious betting patterns, because they'll look at the form book. You actually, when it comes to betting, to look for suspicious betting patterns, they'll look at the form book over the last 10, 15 games. They'll look at how many goals have been scored and conceded by each side. They'll look at they'll look at all their European games and their league games and everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some suspicious betting patterns. But that's just me. I'm cynical when I shouldn't be. I'm not saying that Juventus have match fixed or you Real Madrid have match fixed, but I'm just being cynical. I've lived in a country where match fixing is an everyday occurrence, and so I'm a bit more suspicious of results these days, and suspicious of. I've seen some games that I've thought have been a bit fixed, whereas 10 years ago I wouldn't have thought much. But it is what it is, and there are some games at the 2006 Football World Cup that are so suspicious. Looking back 12 years, that I'm like, really? I didn't think that at the time. Yeah, but it is what it is. But yeah. Yeah, but why have they not been trying for the rest of the previous 80 minutes in the Bernabeu? Like, explain that to me, because the Bernabeu is an intimidating place to go. It's one of the biggest stadiums in world football. Explain how they've only decided, "Oh, we've got 5 minutes left, we're going to play." I do not understand the logic behind that. I do not understand the logic behind it at all. Yeah, but they played well in the first leg away from home, which is hard enough, in Turin at the Stadio d'Albi, and that's a hard stadium to go and get a result at, of any nature. And then to come, at home, quarter-final to Real Madrid, and not to score at all in 90 minutes, and to be 3-0 down, and throw away a 3-0 aggregate lead, that is not a Real Madrid side that I know. I've seen Real Madrid sides lose. Don't get me wrong; they did go for a period where they weren't a great side. They were getting old and a bit creaky, and there was a period of time where they weren't the best team in Spain. I've seen Real Madrid sides struggle at times, but in the last 10 years, I've never seen a Real Madrid side have a 3-goal lead and throw it away. Never. Not in Europe, anyway. I've seen some tight European games where they've won or lost, but I've not in this Real Madrid side. Even though they're having a bit of a iffy season, they still got enough quality to hold out there. Something's a bit off for me, but that's just me. I'm not the Chelsea fan. Kemmel is, so he'll have to answer that. But Chelsea have been poor all season by their standards. They've not had a good season at all. There is issues around Chelsea that also you could link in the handling of Diego Costa and his leaving of the club and Morata coming in to replace him. You could look at the handling of certain players and the issues that Chelsea have had by, like I say, they lost to Tottenham 3-1 and they were hammered. I think British football is not immune from match fixing, but I think it would be less likely in this country. But no, Chelsea have just had a really shocking season for the whole season. And last year they won the title, but the year before that they were even worse. Chelsea have a few structural problems behind the scenes that is a little bit yeah, I agree with Kemmel. I think it's the manager's lost the confidence of the players, and he's lost the confidence in them. The manager's down on his confidence and is questioning the board's decisions. And I do accept, I understand why he's questioning transfer policy and the board's decisions and things like that. I can understand when a manager's getting frustrated. The thing is, as soon as you complain at Chelsea, you're fired. So I'm surprised he's lasted this long. He's out at the end of the season. He's gone at the end of the season. But Chelsea have other issues, and we've discussed this on your channel, Emil, and on my channel. We both discussed this a lot, and we've talked about it a lot. And I think the Chelsea they're just having a really bad season. The manager's getting stressed out. The players are underperforming. There's issues behind the scenes that will come out in time. And I have my concerns about a lot of football clubs in England going forward with the amount of debt they have. That's another issue in football, is the amount of debt some of these clubs have is astronomical. So I'm really finding it funny that Barcelona and Real Madrid can find all this money when Spain is bankrupt. But there you go. I just don't know where football gets its money from. Some of these clubs are really running on empty. I don't know how they can afford. Valencia ran out of money and couldn't afford to pay the players. Yeah, Real Madrid in the same league and Barcelona, even though they are big clubs, owned by the fans, somehow managed to find many, many millions of pounds to buy players. Don't get it. Revenue. I don't know why revenue sharing isn't a thing in professional sport more. I know it's done in some leagues, but something's not. Football's just not my favourite sport anymore for various reasons. But like Chelsea against Man City, Chelsea were just that bad. Chelsea were literally just that bad. I think Conte's losing the dressing room, and the players don't respect him, and he doesn't respect the players anymore because they're not playing hard enough. Yeah, no, okay, I accept that. That is cheeky with the Jackson Brown comment. That's a cheeky one. I accept that. But no, there are problems in football, but there's other sports with issues as well, and there are other sports that are doing some good things, and it's not getting mentioned enough. It isn't getting mentioned enough. So I mentioned like the day-night test match being the way forward for cricket, and all they've got to do is fix the pink ball. The pink ball doesn't have the longevity of the red Duke or the red Kookaburra. So they need to fix that, because the day-night test match is the way forward, and that's an interesting thing. That's a good thing. Not getting talked about right now. Too much negativity. Why can't sport give me some happy stuff? But no, again, really interesting questions. I love the idea of colour donor. Yeah, I do think they should get rid of the old cricket whites and traditionalism. I think that's dying, and it's what's probably holding the sport back. But the people running cricket are older. they're very conservative and they're very slow in the uptake on interesting ideas that could help the sport. Because one day in T20, very colourful, very vibrant crowds, very loud, vibrant, good atmospheres. It will be good for the game. Also, it's prime TV time, because if you're watching a test match now, you're going to be in your house or down the pub. You can watch a test match, have a pint. You're not at work. The stadium will probably be full. It will take time to get used to the day-night test match, but I think it's the way forward. It has to be, because but this is the way to save it, is the day-night test. More people will be able to won't be at work, and they'll be available to watch the test match in the ground, and more people will be on the TV audience at home. And the people running the ICC, the ECB, Cricket Australia, these governing bodies need to reform themselves and also realise they need to, move with the times. They're crusty old dinosaurs, a lot of these people running sport. The same with the FA here in England and UEFA and FIFA with their corruption. Most sports are governed by civil servant pen pushers. Most of them have never fucking played the sport they're governing. And a lot of them are so out of touch with the modern fan and the modern player and the modern dynamic of sport that they're holding the sports back. It's like Sepp Blatter said, don't use VAR at the World Cup. Sepp Blatter, you've been banned from football for 12 years. Yeah, it does mean bad light cannot be used as an excuse to delay a game. And 2 a.m. I mean that's mad. But there are these quirky bits in sport. But the people governing sport and all the governing bodies, most of them have never competed in the sport that they're governing or administrating, and they're pen pushers. They've been to university, they've got their degree in management, and they're pen pushers, and they don't go out to see what is happening at grassroots level. They don't go into stadiums and work out, okay, there's a security concern here, that stands a bit too far back. Where can we put the TV cameras? What do the players feel? What do the fans? They never talk to the fans and listen to fans' views. That's why I love fan TV, because even though I may not support even though I not support, let's say, Arsenal or Chelsea, the fan TV channels of the various football clubs around the world that I find are absolutely hilarious, because the fans have a great sense of humour and they tell it how it is. Much like this channel, I tell it how it is. The media sugarcoats things, and the people governing sport, they're out of touch, they're crusty old dinosaurs, and they need to go. They need to allow someone who actually played the sport to govern the game and say, look, we've had this issue with cheating, this is how we're going to fix it. Because they don't when they make these rule changes, they don't talk to the pissing players, they don't involve the fans, so we're left bemused what's going the fuck on, and we're having issues attracting officials and coaches. Not enough young people are doing officiating, and not enough young people want to become coaches because they're put off for various reasons. We have a big issue with there's not enough. Interesting. So now that goes to extra time. Very interesting. How have Real Madrid not scored at home in the Champions League? That rarely happens. Occasionally they come up against a very good defence, but then they don't allow the opposition to score because they keep the ball. You don't go into the Bernabeu and win 3-0 and get an easy ride. Something is completely off with both Roma and Juventus games. Barcelona playing like crap last night and Real Madrid playing crap tonight. That something has just gone. I cannot believe how easy it was for both Italian sides Roma to get through and Juventus to get the extra time. I cannot believe that. I refuse to accept that as legitimate. Oh, it's not finished. Oh, it's not finished yet. Okay, so there's still time for another. The fix is still on. Juventus have to score again. The fix is still on. If Real Madrid score now, I will be even more surprised. Oh, here we go. Real Madrid get a penalty in added time. That's probably the fix. There you go. Red card, penalty, extra time, goal. That is what I call a match fix now. Does he miss it? Because Real Madrid have played bad all night. Please tell me he misses it. Yeah, Madrid have got a penalty. Extra time after 90 minutes, obviously, and it's a red card, obviously. So clearly, there's a fix on. Most of the Juventus fans have probably all bet on Juventus winning 4-0 and now suddenly gone, the fix is off. Oh, don't. How would Buffon get sent? Why would Buffon get sent off? No, it's penalty. Buffon's been sent. This is madness. I have no idea who Dathi Denogla is. Even though Buffon has been done for match fixing and things like that, he's normally a very good read of the through ball and Honey's line. He's normally very, very good at not overly committing himself and doing stupid, rash challenges. That's why he's the world's best goalkeeper. He is old, but there's a reason why. He's evolved his game and he's very good at reading the through ball when the striker's got past the last man. Descent. Oh God. Oh, please. How? He's the club captain. How? Why is this not on free-to-air TV? Oh, that's right. BT Sport are criminal. Well, no, they haven't scored anything. Buffon the buffoon. I like that one. I might have to write that down. This is mad. This whole match tonight is mad. And same with Roma last night. It's mad. Have they scored? That's all I want to know is have Real Madrid scored, because this is going to penalties at the moment. This is mad. Real Madrid, cannot believe this. Oh, I'm going to see if live score's working. I can't cope with this. I'm going to have a heart attack. I still think the match is fixed, but I'm having a heart attack because Real Madrid have played crap all night and suddenly they get a penalty in the 96th minute and suddenly they're going to win the tie. Come on, something's. Let's see what's going on the BBC Sport website. Well, it's still level. Let's have a look. 98. Oh my God, it's still level on. Have they taken the penalty yet? That's all I want to know. Is the penalty been taken? Because it's just saying to me that it's 3-0 to Juventus. Buffon got sent off. Munich got through. That one is not a weird result. Well, here's the thing. That means. Oh, never mind. I'm assuming Real Madrid have scored. Yeah, I'm assuming Real Madrid have scored. Very interesting that the penalty is given after 90 minutes, and Real Madrid get through by the skin of their teeth. Oh, I don't know. Oh my God. Well, you'll be surprised. I haven't seen the game, but Juventus were down their top scorer. Sergio Ramos was missing. Real Madrid, from everything you guys have put in the comments, have basically not been playing well at all. Have not been playing well at all. Same as Barcelona last night. Same tonight. Very suspicious that, okay, yeah, Real Madrid get get the winner, but I've never seen a Real Madrid side or heard of a Real Madrid side basically mentally collapse in a knockout game. I've heard them lose in knockout games because it was a tight game and it was end to end, but I've never ever had that kind of. Perhaps my joke about a spot bet to score in the 88th minute wasn't that far up. Jesus Christ. This is all coming out tonight. This has been a very. I don't know what it is about my live streams, but they always seem to basically turn into me having some kind of heart attack at some point when the football scores come up. Brilliant. I love you guys. You guys are brilliant. It's marvellous. That was far. That's interesting. If someone's put down that Juventus would take it to, right to the end, and it would be won by a penalty after the 90th minute, and it would be 4-3 an aggregate, that would be interesting. I would laugh if the aggregate scores to the wrong team as well. Then that would be the fixes off. But right, now we've got the football out of the way, and Real Madrid look a lot, looked human, and Barcelona are out. I'm so glad Barcelona are out, but I don't know. The fact that Venice got to 3-0 and Real Madrid were just not in the game. Yeah. Is the NHL knockouts what? The Stanley Cup? UEFA Lona are out, I'm happy. I do think Barcelona have had some interesting. The first 3 games of the playoffs start tonight at various times. I think Philadelphia, I think that is midnight our time, and then the others are, I think, at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock our time in the morning. It's because all the timings are on the East Coast timings. So Winnipeg are at home. That's why they're on an East Coast timing for their start time. So the first games are tonight, and the next batch of games is tomorrow night. So I think there's 3 or 4 games tonight, and there's 3 or 4 games tomorrow night as well. And then there's a day into each game, basically, so it's pretty regular. So for the next 2 months, we have playoff hockey. And I'll try my best to catch up with the results in the morning when I wake up, and I'll do a video, and I'll be like, yeah, this has happened, blah, 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 etc., etc. I'm going to try and get the live score app to work on my phone because it's just not wanting to cooperate at all, which is really fucking annoying. The Stanley Cup playoffs start in 2 hours 15 minutes. first puck drop. I don't think any side gets a clean sweep. I think they're going to be all tightly fought and contested playoff matches, and we'll have to see what happens. Best of 7, so it doesn't matter if you lose 1 game, but if you lose 2 in the first 2, then it's a bit more difficult. But we'll have to see what happens over these playoffs. Right, okay. But the way the Stanley Cup works, you have Western Conference and Eastern Conference. So the top 8 in the Western Conference and the top 8 in the Eastern Conference. It's very much like football knockouts that you would get in Champions League football. So you'll have the top 3 from each division go through, and then the 2 wild cards. So there's 4 divisions, 2 conferences. The top 3 are the seeded teams in each division, and then they get seeded. And then it's best of 7 series, so there's 7 games, and the first of 4 goes through to the next round. And then the same process again. So the winner of the 4, there'll be 4, 8 teams. The winners of those 4 matches, there'll be, is there 4 matches? Shit, 18. Yeah, 4 matches, and then 4 teams go through, and then the winner of those 2 matches, they meet in the conference final, and then the winners of each conference final meet in the Stanley Cup final. So it's East versus West, and that's the current format. So there are other channels that will explain it better. I mean, the format has changed. The current format, you've got the 8 teams in the East. they play seeded. So first seed will play a wild card, second will play third in division, and then the wild cards are split between the two first seeds. So second, third in each division plays each other in each conference. So the Western Conference Central Division, Winnipeg are playing Minnesota, for example. Nashville are playing Colorado because Colorado is the second wild card. The first wild card, I believe, was LA, and they are playing Las Vegas, who are top of the Pacific Division. And the second and third teams in San Jose and Anaheim play each other. The winners of all those games go through to the next round. So in theory, the top two seeds should play each other, and in both divisions, and it should be the top seeds from that go through to the conference final, and then they go through to the Stanley Cup final, and vice versa on the Eastern Conference as well. That's basically how it works. And each series is best of 7 games. It used to be best of 5, now it's best of 7. So all you have to do is win 4 games. If you win 4 games, you're through. So that's why when someone earlier said Jets in 5, they're expecting the Jets to lose 1 game against Minnesota, but to win 4. God, I hope I'm explaining it. Yeah, and Lord Stanley's Cup. Yes, Lord Stanley, his daughter as well was a hockey player. He was a British, he was the Governor General of Canada. He went over and he liked ice hockey, and he was from Scotland. Scotland, eh? And he took the game with him, and the Canadians loved it. And so his daughter, long after he died, donated the Stanley Cup to be played for every year. P, is that the real Sean Avery, or is that the Sean Avery from the hockey guy? Because is that the real Sean Avery or the Sean Avery channel on the hockey guy? I'll be very, very interested to see who that is. Hello, the hockey guy Sean Avery. Hello, you may have seen me comment on some of the hockey guys videos, and I was the guy who sent all the Bracknell Bees programs to him. I was the subscriber who sent the Bracknell Bees programs to him about they took 2 months to get there, but they arrived about a month ago, and he did a video. And that was the day he got a couple of jerseys, including the Minnesota Adidas and the Eddie Van Impe puck from Philadelphia that someone sent him. I sent him the British hockey programs. That was me. But yeah, no, I've been watching a lot of the hockey guy's older videos. Actually, he is a brilliant channel. So if you want to learn about sport, the NHL, just go on the hockey guy. He is a brilliant channel, and I would recommend you watch his channel because he has such an insane knowledge of one sport I've never seen. I mean, I try my best with all sports, but I've never seen a guy with so much knowledge on one sport. And I'm very surprised that a hockey guy subscriber is on my. I'm honoured that a hockey guy subscriber is on my channel. So thank you. I really appreciate the support as well. I'm glad to have you. I mean, my views on the NHL are slightly different. My support for my teams is different. I'm getting frustrated with hockey goal interference, and I predicted a completely different prediction too. Yeah, just Musical Nep. I'm going to give you the YouTube channel to check out. Yeah, Sean, Mr. Sean Avery, Musical Neptune is from Melbourne, Australia, and so. But the rules at the moment, there's a lot of issues with the rules in hockey, and I'm sure we can debate them. Goaltender interference is a mess, and the offside rule has sort of calmed down a bit. But goaltender interference is a complete mess, and I do not understand how some of these calls have been given, and it makes the NHL look like amateur hour when it comes to who's Nathan Walker again? Yeah, the Wimbledon guy. Oh yeah, Nathan Walker. Yeah, he is an Aussie. There's a couple of there's a South African called Rounding who's playing ice hockey in Britain at a reasonable standard, which I found amazing. But yeah, we have the Sean Avery guy from the hockey guy channel. But it's great that we can cover every sport, and every sport gets a shout on this channel, and it's great to see guys who join the channel. It's brilliant. I feel humbled. I mean, I'm completely different to the hockey guy. I mean, I cover everything. I'm more of I can follow cricket and rugby union and rugby league, and that's not how you spell capitals, with a V. That's better. But no, yeah. The issue with the NHL at the moment is they've got a lot of issues with goaltender interference, and if you're a new fan, you'll be completely confused what is and isn't a penalty anymore. You might as well just throw like your hands up in the air and well, you think I'm not so sure about the playoffs this year. I think the playoffs this year are going to be a lot closer than we think. I think two very weak sides have managed to sneak in New Jersey and the Colorado Avalanche. I think the Avalanche are the weakest side there, considering where they were last year. They were nowhere. They were the worst team in the modern era. To get the playoffs after being well, useless is the best way to say it, for the best part of 3.5 years. That is astonishing. New Jersey were not great either at certain bits in the season. I think the Blue Jackets can do it as well. They had a better last 20-30 games of the season. They won 10 games in a row. That's the second year in a row they've done that. And I think they may be the first franchise to do 2 years with 10 game winning streaks in a row. They look a lot, but the issue with the Columbus is their power play was useless for most of the season, and their penalty kill wasn't great. And now we have a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and now I'm just gonna hide. I think Colorado, and now we have a Dutch guy. Hello, we're getting people from all over the world. This is mad. I was going to turn the live stream off at 10. We'll keep going for a little bit because we've got some new guys joining in. We've been going for nearly 2 hours. So yeah, hello from the UK. Welcome to the channel. When it comes to the playoffs, I think I predicted a Nashville Boston final. I'm still going for a Nashville Boston final in the Stanley Cup. I'm a Jets fan, but I'm a realistic Jets fan. We've never won a playoff game, let alone a round. So for us, this is a learning curve this year. This is where we've got to learn our lessons in playoff hockey for future years with the team we have. Yeah, but I want to go to the pub. I mean, if you want me to go for 3 hours, I'll try. But I do live with some relatives, and I live with my grandparents, and they are going to bed now. So I should have started my live stream at 7, really. But I could do a 3-hour live stream tomorrow night. It depends how many people join in. If loads of people suddenly surge in to the live stream now, then I'm not going to suddenly go, bye guys, I'm going off. But there's a reasonable amount of interest. We've got some new guys joining in the live stream, which is great. No. I'm happy. It depends how many more questions I get. If I don't get a load of questions in the next 5-10 minutes, then I'll wind it down. If people decide to give a load of questions, then I'm happy to keep going for a bit longer. I mean, I enjoy doing these live streams. I don't mind going on to about 10:30 at the latest, but it all depends on how many questions you guys have to ask. If you guys suddenly have a surge of questions, then I'll keep going for a bit longer. If you decide that you've asked enough and you've been involved enough and you want to call it a day, that's cool as well. I mean, your involvement, you guys' involvement is what makes this channel work and what makes it enjoyable to do this channel and keep doing the videos I do. And so it's up to you guys. If you want me to keep going for a bit longer, I'm happy to do so. And the fact that some new guys have just joined the chat means I'll probably keep going for an extra 10 minutes if you want, 15, 20. I mean that means we're pushing the channel record by this point. I think the longest we've done is about 2 hours 15 minutes, 2.5 hours, something like that. But it's totally up to you guys. I mean, we've covered a lot of a lot of topics tonight. We've covered a lot, and it's been good. So I'm more than happy. So if anyone's got any more questions, feel free to ask them, and don't be shy. And I'm not, if I can't answer, I'll be saying, like, I don't know enough about it. That's it. You know, I've learned a lot from my live streams from you guys, because you guys told me things that I didn't even know. But here's the thing: I'm surprised he actually blew up at a referee, a player that experienced. If he did get done for dissent, I'm really surprised. That obviously in his eyes wasn't a foul then. But we did discuss that game almost to death tonight, and I just had my suspicions about it. But obviously I haven't watched the game. If I can see a full match replay, which will be impossible because BT Sport got all the rights now in the UK, we shall find out. But there's so much going on in sport, and it's a pain in the arse that you have to pay stupid amounts of money to watch it. But no, I mean Buffon, I'm very surprised he would get a red card, because he's a very level-headed player. I've seen him play, and I've been watching Italian football for 20 odd years, and he very rarely gets booked for dissent or time wasting. He's a very good goalkeeper. So obviously, whatever happened to give the penalty away, he's obviously furious, and he clearly sees something that the referees missed. Because if he's reacted like that, you know it's a bogus call. And if they've lost out on a bogus call, then that completely changes my perception of what the game was. And I have my issues with it, and I have my suspicions. But if that is a bogus call by the referee, because there was a bogus call last night as well, which Pep Guardiola blew up about, that changes the complexion of everything and my views a little bit. But even so, squeaky bum time by Real Madrid, very squeaky bum time. But no, we've had a lot of good questions, and I appreciate what your input. The Ashes, BT Sport. I don't like the fact that they've got a monopoly on the Champions League, which they shouldn't have under Ofcom rules, and I don't like the fact that Cricket Australia took away all the Test series that involve Australia to BT Sport. They used to all be on Sky. And Channel 4 obviously sold their rights, and Channel 5 get crappy highlights. It's not good enough. ITV have lost their rights to the IPL. I don't think that's right. I think what we should pride ourselves on in Europe is we have a lot of free-to-air sport on TV, and it's been slowly eroded from us. Slowly. And it's not right. And we have an issue with obesity and people not being fit and healthy enough. People dying young because of ill health, because they're not getting enough exercise. So the sports companies are putting everything. The sports are signing over lucrative contracts to pay-per-view TV that's unacceptable for 18 million people. That's wrong. That is exceptionally wrong. I do not agree with it at all. 18 million households do not pay for pay-per-view TV in this country. That's where it's wrong. So I wouldn't be surprised if more and more people decide to cancel their Sky Sports and their BT Sport, because it's not right. It's wrong. But that's just my opinion on it. Other people can disagree or agree. Of course, we've got people from all around the world. We've got people from the Netherlands. I don't know where Sean Avery's from. I don't know if he's from Canada or the US, but he does subscribe to another channel that I subscribe to that I enjoy a lot of. Musical Neptunians from Australia. They're joining together. Are they merging together, or is BT Sport finally going, shit, we've gone bust? Because in my eyes, BT Sport, the only reason why they survive is because they have the internet and the mobile phone. They have got a very similar business model to Setanta, and look what happened to Setanta. They went shits up, and Scottish football's now fucked. So that's my view on pay-per-view sport. I do not agree with it. I think it is wrong. I think it's an outdated business model. It's an outdated business model because people are getting around with VPNs and just streaming, and then people aren't paying for it and they refuse to. And it also means we could go down let's say, I don't know where you're from, Abdulaziz. Okay, I don't know where you're from. I know you're in the UK. We're paying for the food and drink that we have, and that's it. And we're not paying. So BT and Sky have missed a trick by giving us a set-top box one-off fee and having all the channels free on it. They're missing a trick. Their business models are 25 years out of date because we have a thing called the internet now, and you got to love the Russians for one thing. They do have lots of good streaming websites. I'm sorry, that's where I get most of my ice hockey from. I don't pay for my ice hockey. I'm not paying 20 quid a day. Naff off. So it is what it is. But yeah, no, I didn't get to watch a lot of the Ashes because BT Sport had it. No, I'm being deadly serious. Like, I had to try and just catch up with 5 Live Radio, and even then, BBC Sport's being anal now, where you have to like sign in and make a BBC account. No, until a year ago, I could listen on my phone or on my laptop to BT Sport. No, to BBC Sport Radio, 5 Live Extra, Sports Extra, and now I have to have a sign in and make an account and all this crap. What? No, it's wrong. So they're putting barriers in the way to make sport accessible to people, which I think is wrong. I honestly think putting barriers in the way of people is wrong. They should make sport as accessible as possible and as open as possible, and therefore you'll have less of these corruption issues. But it is what it is. But have you got any more questions? Because I mean, we've been going 2 hours 6 minutes, and I do have other bits and pieces to do. I just love doing my live streams about this time. Hello, Super Security 07 from the Netherlands. Greetings from the UK. I'm just very interested in what other questions you have, because oh right, okay, no, that's fine. I mean, there's not enough questions have been asked, and I don't want to ramble on about stuff when it could be boring for people. I appreciate every question you guys have had, and you've been Abdulaziz, you've been here from the beginning of the stream. Basically, you've popped in and out a few times, but you've basically been here for the whole stream. So guys like you make the live streams really fun to do. And I've noticed that's the channel, you know. I don't have BT Sport. I'm in my room and I'm on my laptop, but I've heard all about it and I've heard the result, and we've discussed the match at length on the channel, and I've blown up about it. So we're not going to talk about the match anymore, and I'm literally about to finish the live stream. So thank you everyone who's participated. I think I might do the live stream at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, or 7:30, so we can try and do the 3-hour live stream and see what, you know, what we get going there, because we've had a really great one tonight. And a lot's happened in Sports Den. There's a lot happened, and there's lots going to happen in the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. So if you're a hockey fan, I will do my best in the morning to look at the results, work out from the footage the replays. I'll get the match replays from the NHL YouTube channel, which only gives you 8-minute replays, which is piss annoying. But I'll do my best to give my viewpoint on it and say, okay, this is what I know about, and I'll try my best to then give you a better idea of where teams are at. Of course, I'm a Jets fan, so I might do a Jets NHL video, because it's very rare that a team I support actually gets this far in a league or tournament. If you've been on my channel for long enough, if you subscribe for long enough, most of the teams I support are not very good. Last year was not a good year for me when it came to my sports teams. One team got relegated. One team, or 2 teams, were crap. No, I'm not coming on tonight. I've got a few other bits and pieces to do. But I'm going to try and do a 3-hour live stream tomorrow, and I've got to update my Xbox and do lots of technical updates on it. But no, thank you for everyone tonight. It's been a great live stream. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for everyone's input. And I'll have some more videos and another live stream for you tomorrow. So good night. Thank you very much. And I shall see you guys tomorrow.